Now that we've already had a huge discussion, what's going on, guys?
We've already been talking about the book.
Yeah, we've already been talking backstage. Welcome to this author interview for Dennis M. Myers. We're going to be talking his series, or at least the first book of Rise of the Automated Empire, Final Assembly by the man himself. I do have links before I forget, because I always forget to do this. I have links for these books in the description box down below, where you should totally go and get yourself a copy. And I am joined today by YouTube's favorite book dad, John from Talking Story.
How many book dads do we have?
I'm
old.
You're not. You see, you're right in the right range for me, though.
I'm pretty old, dude.
Now, my mom had me at 30, so she would be about, let's see, 65 right now.
Yeah, see, I got I'm looking down the pipe.
You're right in that range.
So you're 35?
Yeah.
You are younger than my children.
Well, you know what? My soul and my spirit and my back thanks you.
Andrew is forever young. How is your back, by the way? Doing better?
We had some flares earlier this morning, but we're gonna soldier through it. So, Dennis, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? We'll go ahead and start off right there. And I guess we'll talk about, where did this series come from?
Yes.
Where did you pull some of the inspiration from? And why do you write?
Well, my name is Dennis Myers, and I write science fiction in the far future. I write because I want to see these stories unfold.
Yeah.
I have them in my head, and I'm a discovery writer, which means I don't really know how the story is going to go. I know about where it's going to end up, like if I'd read the review, but finding the little facets and the little pieces along the way is just a joy to me. So I love writing, and it's what I want to do for the rest of my life. Once I get
a very long life.
Yeah, I hope it'd be nice. I got a lot of books to write.
Well, we already have a question from Heidi. Dennis, what is your favorite science fiction book?
My favorite science fiction book. It would be impossible for me to pick just one. I mean, the one that got me started was The Star Beast by Robert Heinlein. The one that opened my mind to a connected universe that wasn't a direct sequel prequel was I read The Rolling Stones and then Moon is a Harsh Mistress. And then there were so many Asimov books, and my mother tried to get me to read this book about dragons, and I put it off, and finally she got me to read this book about dragons, and they were science fiction dragons, and I loved Anne McGaffrey's work. More recently, Empire of Silence, the whole Sun Eater series is awesome. Dune, you got to mention Dune. I am still frustrated that we haven't gotten to book 4 being filmed yet, because book 4, God Emperor of Dune, is my favorite of the series.
That's your favorite?
I always heard that's where the series gets weird.
It gets very weird.
That's the corner. That's where humanity is on one course, and the golden path turns humanity to another course.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a linchpin, and there's just
weird.
so much going on. And yeah, that's my favorite of the series.
It would be very hard to film, but I would sure buy a ticket.
So you've just mentioned a lot of what I would consider silver and or golden age sci-fi authors. If we're going to borrow from the comic book industry.
Yep.
Because I just dropped my review today. I literally filmed that weeks ago, which is why at the very end it's just like, we're going to be doing an author discussion, and I don't mention that it's tonight. But I mentioned in my review that it felt like this was a modern, just classic sci-fi. If you wanted to experience those older masters, you could pick this up and have a similar experience. And is that kind of the vibe that you were going for?
Exactly. I wanted to do something. I mean, Robert Heinlein was probably the biggest influence early on with me. But in the modern setting, there are some problems, minor things like the misogyny and
Just
And the
minor things.
technology, our technology has advanced so much. I mean, you remember Starman Jones was all about a kid who memorized a book because you had to look up in the book all the tables. It's like that wouldn't fly in today's world. But I wanted that same feel, and I really, they say write the book that you want to read, and
Mhm.
I love that stuff. So that's what I tried to put into the books.
John the Fourth says, I think John read that book.
I did.
He did. That's why he's
Yes.
here. So there's one thing that like a lot of the golden age sci-fi, like there's a small thing that they did is they didn't see far enough into the future. They would set it in like, I mean, there's sci-fi books written by Bradbury and tons of others that were set in today.
Yeah.
Is that why you chose 1,000 years in the future?
Partly that's why, but the other part is a little bit longer story. From an early age, I had all these ideas, and after I got the idea I wanted to be a writer, I started writing down story ideas, like from 17. And over the years, I had notebooks and piles of scraps and different media that I had put them on. And my cousin Tom, who's also a writer, uh, said that I should put all of my story ideas onto one timeline, and so I did. And then most of them fit on the timeline in the same universe. There's a few offshoots that don't fit quite well. And then when I sat down to write the book in 2017, the random thing that I had that picked out a story picked out this one called Eminent Domain, which was a short story I had started in 2006. And I looked on my timeline and saw where it fit. And that was in the late 3200s.
Okay.
And then picking 88 it's a kind of a family lucky number. My children were born in 1988. So
2 years before me.
you will see 88. You'll see numbers. If you look at the numbers, the times and such, sometimes I put things in. I know I had to change a few because so many scenes started at 657. And 657 is also the hull number of the Pangyu. And that's because the SSBN 657 was the Francis Scott Key, which was my first submarine.
Nice. So you say you've been writing down stories your entire life, and so you're
Ideas.
just how many notebooks? How many notebooks do you have?
Oh my God, I don't even remember. It was a lot, and I went through them, and it took me a couple of weeks to get it all typed in and put onto this timeline.
Well, you've mentioned your military service,
Huh?
which thank you for your service.
Yes.
And one of the things I've noticed about your covers, which is kind of relevant, I've got these notes that I've written in this awful lime green pen, and it's very difficult to read in this lighting. So this is very much the meme of Dawn, one of our main characters, that makes her very popular in this series. But the rest of your series covers are action. Now,
Yes.
how much of your military experiences or the stories that you've sat around from other people of other branches, how much of your life experience has made it into the books?
The relationships, the banter, and the way they communicate on the ship are very much the way it is on a submarine. The way people talk about that whole chapter where they're pranking each other.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen every single one of those live on a submarine. And then there are quite a few that I wouldn't want to mention because it would, change the rating of the book.
I'm sure. Very cool. Very cool. Go ahead, John.
Let me ask you a question before I forget it.
Yeah.
Because I'll be listening and then it'll pop out of my head. So you said that you're kind of a discovery writer, Dennis, and you're not, you don't have every corner filled in, and you kind of like you're writing the books to find out kind of what happens. Mm-hmm. The thing that struck me about book one so much is that it's all these corners are so filled in with military, bureaucracy, government. all of these angles, like, was that all Discovery, or did you have a lot of the logistics of how this utopian future worked, or did you discover all of those things as well when you were working?
A lot of the way the world works on Luna, in particular, um, are things that I've been thinking about for a decade of how things could work. And do you follow Isaac Arthur at all?
Mhm.
He does a lot of science YouTube videos. He's also the president of the National Space Foundation, or I think it's foundation. Um, and he's done a lot of stuff on post scarcity societies. And the more I looked at what a post scarcity society would be, the more I realized you're not going to get there in a straight line, because you can't have wealthy people and have a post scarcity society, because wealth demands scarcity. And so that whole conflict, um, and that's where the idea for the corporate federation hanging on, and that whole the two different systems and the
Mhm.
conflict between the two came in. Um, but yeah, it was all, I had the characters, I knew who I wanted to follow, and I knew what their motivations were. So I just, what would it be? And I kept on thinking it through and just worked on it, and made it the best I could.
Okay,
That's awesome.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you,
I'm
Andrew.
gonna ask a hot button question.
Go for it.
Okay.
Okay, so AI, artificial intelligence, features heavily in your story. It's controlling the domes. It's got some limiters on it. We've got some rogue AI that's out there
Yeah.
causing some problems. How much research, or how much, yeah, just how much research went into like the writing of this AI, and like, oh, I just want your thoughts. Like, I don't know how to get those
I
words out, but
I wrote this before LLMs really hit. This is in 2017, 2018 that I wrote the first two books. But I've been a software developer for over 25 years. And the idea of the computer, um, Heinlein even did it. In Moon is a Harsh Mistress, they had the computer that became aware.
Mhm.
And that's a running theme in a lot of things. And I have some issues with it. So I wanted to play with it in my own universe as to what an AI could and would not do. And the biggest thing for me is that AI is not a person, it is a tool, and it does what it is programmed to do. So, and but it's very influential, and I wanted to play with that. And I'm going to take it in a future series. I'm going to take it to the next level, and I'm going to find a actual organic way to bring in consciousness, and that's going to change everything.
oh,
And so I've got, like I said, I've got a lot planned out. Um, but yeah, I don't know how soon you want to hit spoilers here.
well, we'll leave it a little spoiler free for now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like to do 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
because my
Give
next follow up would have definitely been one.
but let's give people another 10 to 15 minutes to figure out what it's all about, and stuff like that. Like I said, I did just drop a review on the channel earlier this morning. If you are watching this and you have no idea who Dennis is or what this series is about, please go check that out. I should have linked it in the description, but I didn't, because I like to think ahead. Uh, so basically, we're living 1,000 years in the future. Earth is a blasted wasteland. The robots have taken over. We've got a utopia on the moon, and like you said, we've got a corporate kind of government that is running the rest of the galaxy. And then I think we've
Well,
even gone outside of the galaxy, and we've got more universal exploration as well.
just solar system.
Yeah, just solar
In
system.
the solar system, there is one manned research station on around Proxima Centauri. They've named the world Proximus.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we'll see that later in the series.
So how much are you going to let like actual science, or are you going to science fiction it to be like, are we going to get universal travel? And if so, how are you going to get around? I watch a lot of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. And I am
and Stargate.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Stargate. Yeah, there we go. Wormholes solve everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am very much
Hyperion, Farcaster portals. Like it just
I'm aiming for as hard as I can. And I made the conscious decision to have one glaring exception, and that's the jump drive.
Okay.
The jump drive is going to let us go explore other worlds. And I based the jump drive basically off of Traveler, the role playing game I used to write for. There's even a line in there. I don't know if it's this book or the next, but it talks about the Miller effect and how every jump takes 1 week, and they had to tweak it to get it to that, but 1 week is the best they could get. And that's the Miller effect, which is after Mark Miller, who created Traveler.
Okay. All right, that kind of reminds me of the drive that they created in Old Man's War, Scalzi, except that's a little different because they do weird things with reality.
Well, I made mine a little bit different from the game. I made them have heat issues.
Oh, okay.
In my version of Jump Space, you cannot get rid of heat, which is why you have a heat sink. And as soon as you come out of jump, you have to unfurl the radiators to offload all the heat that you've generated for the last week.
That makes sense.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
What was I'm thinking of a sci-fi show where they had stealth ships and they would keep the gases bound up that would basically allow them to run quietly, and they couldn't track gas trails, but then they would have to vent eventually. And I cannot remember the name of the sci-fi show.
Well, Star Trek did that, but they've got the cloaking.
It might be Star Trek.
Yeah.
So?
It's not so much the gases in space, it's the heat.
Yeah.
The heat signature. The only way you can really have stealth is if you cool the outside of your ship so cold that it looks like background. And then at most you make it really hard to spot. No spoilers,
That makes
though.
sense. That makes sense. Okay, so I was not anticipating you saying that you're a pantser or a discovery writer.
That really surprised me.
Yeah, that really
surprised
caught me off guard.
Yeah.
So we do have, there is a spanner in the works in this book. We've got a character who is just out doing very naughty things on Luna, where Luna is not known for people who do naughty things. And did you have to dive into like a bunch of crime novels or do any like research into the stuff that our wives probably listen to?
Funny you should say that. I feel like I have a lot of research in that area because my wife, I mean, if she's not watching real estate that we will never be able to afford, she's watching murder.
Yeah. But I feel we should be concerned.
That sounds dicey.
The part that you should probably be most concerned about is how much fun I had writing from that point of view.
Yeah. This is kind of, it's a spoiler, but it's not really. I'll keep it very, very vague. That spanner that Andrew's talking about, that fly in the utopian ointment here that we start meeting very, very early in the book. So, you know, I don't think I'm blowing anything wide open. I'll keep things vague here. Like I say, he is utilizing an AI, and how you were talking about AI earlier, that it will only do what it's programmed to do. Was that part of your thinking? Like, oh, let me push the boundaries here of what AI can do because it's at the request and working for this person that is outside of the social norms. Let's keep it at that for now.
Right. Again, that's trying to hammer home the point that AI is a tool. It is not conscious. It's not making a value judgment. You know, if you have a chainsaw and you use it to decapitate somebody, the chainsaw is not going to judge you. and it's not going to stop you from doing that. And that's what AI really is. It's like a chainsaw, a modern version of it. And right now we got a bunch of toddlers with chainsaws running around, but that's a whole different topic.
Well, the great and powerful Janie Wirtz wants to know, how do sci-fi guys celebrate the solstice?
I really don't. I mean,
there was no dance in your backyard today.
Is the solstice today?
I have no idea.
Summer solstice, yeah.
I know it's soon. Yeah,
I know it's still light out when it's usually starting to creep towards dark. So,
yeah,
for me, the big holiday is the New Year's, because I love telling my wife good night, see you next year. I mean,
you love the quintessential just
dad joke.
You gotta have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Janie says it's at like 9 something today. My favorite iteration of that joke is, man, I haven't seen you since last year. And
yes.
Yeah. I love that joke.
Well, you've got a child now, so dad jokes will come naturally.
Yeah, Andrew, you got to work those in.
I do. And usually I get a huff from my daughter, and my son just looks at me.
Oh, how old is your daughter?
5.
5.
Oh.
Yeah. I got 2.
Wait till they're teenagers.
Don't do that to me, okay? I remember my sister as a teenager, and we're not here to talk about that.
I talk about my kids, and I say, the thing is, my son and my daughter are twins.
So you just got it all done right out of the way.
Yeah. All at one shot.
You're an overachiever, Dennis.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
So before we move on to any sort of spoiler section, do you want to give your elevator pitch for the series and or just the first book? Your choice.
This is a series set in the far future where a young woman has she has an accident while she's flying on the moon, and it leads her to a position of power she probably shouldn't have, but she rises to the occasion. And meanwhile, there's a serial killer who is causing all types of trouble. And because there's so much trouble, the interests over at the Corporate Federation say, we can accomplish something here. And it leads to a conflict that changes the whole political landscape of humanity and changes the course of their future forever. Rise of the Automated Empire is the origin story of what will become the Automated Empire.
Oh, so there's another series coming out called Automated Empire.
There are going to be several series. I'm working on Agents of the Automated Empire and Flagship of the Automated Empire. I have outlines for Legends of the Automated Empire, and I've already got story ideas for a trilogy called Fall of the Automated Empire.
Yes.
Oh, okay. You're doing the whole expanse of... Okay, so where can people find your books?
Right now, they're available on Amazon.com in paperback. The
link in the description box down below.
The ebooks are now available anywhere that you buy your ebooks. They're no longer on Kindle Unlimited, but they still are on Kindle, and then Barnes & Noble or wherever else you buy ebooks.
Nice. All right. Well, with that out of the way, I am going to give people just a little bit of time. I am putting the banner up now.
The banner's up.
Spoilers. The banner is up. It's going to stay up as... That banner is bigger than I want it to be.
That's a big banner. Yeah.
That is a big banner. StreamYard changed a bunch of stuff recently. I'm not super happy with it, but I refuse to use Restream because I'm old and I'm crotchety.
I get it. I totally get it.
I've been using StreamYard since I joined BookTube, okay? This has been 5 years of this nonsense.
Okay.
5 years? 4 years? I don't know. Time. Illusion.
That's amazing.
We could talk about sci-fi and stuff like that, right? That's what we're here to talk about. The illusion of time.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. All right. So Dennis.
Okay.
Favorite character? At least in book one. We're sticking to book one.
Oh, did everybody just drop out on me?
Oh,
I'm still
can
here.
you not hear us?
No, I'm here now.
Okay, good. Favorite
Is
character?
that just me?
No,
think
I'm just not moving.
Deborah.
Oh. Deborah? Really?
Deborah. Yeah.
Deborah's your favorite.
And I'll
What
tell
about you,
why.
Andrew? Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Fawn was added to the story as a sacrificial character. She was supposed to die. Then I added in Buck to give her more flavor. And when I got to this scene, when I was initially writing the scene where they were going to buy it, I couldn't do it. And I couldn't write that scene. And then the question came to me, who is Fawn without Buck? And that's where the whole backstory of, oh, she used to be Debbie and now she's Fawn, and the reason why that happened, and the reason why, and all those things came forward. And suddenly she's got a story, and she's got a trauma, and she's got so much more going on. That's why she's on books. She's on the cover of both books 3 and 4. Okay, because she survives when she shouldn't have, and she becomes something so much more.
This is such a cool cover, by the way.
This is a big pitch for 3 and 4, Dennis.
Yeah. So, John, who was your favorite character?
I'm a simple man. I gotta go Dawn, because, like Dennis said, she does rise. Like Destiny calls her, and she does rise. Or does she? Like, it's like she's, this little utopia that's existing within all of this bureaucratic and corporate avarice around it, right? Encroaching in. And it's like she's like this bulwark. She's going to draw a line. She's going to basically step up and at this time when her government needs her to try and protect it. But she's probably not who should. And I'm convinced some of these decisions they make in those boardrooms during those meetings are going to come back around and be a problem down the road. Like that is one of my biggest things. So did she really rise to the occasion, or because of like this amazing theme that we have of this, how Andy Warhol's prediction has come true because of social media and everything. We all have our 15 minutes, and she gets hers at just the right or wrong time, depending on how you look at it. Is her being in charge going to really be a problem? Like that's one of my biggest pulls to continue.
Well, it was funny because I remember after the big inciting incident with Elliot, and he lands on the moon, and then like he's just like, "Oh shucks, I've been beat." I messaged Dennis going, "Is that it?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, that was it." Well, and I was just like, "But we've been building up to this," and he's like, "Well, he technically got what he wanted."
No, he got exactly what he wanted. Not even technically. He had made a bet earlier that he could get Luna to join the Corporate Federation.
Yeah,
he sent one missile cruiser and landed with one small squad of people. Do you think for a moment that he really thought he was going to take Luna by force? And what I probably should have explained a little bit more is about the relationship between him and Darren, because he knows Darren. They've been going at each other for years. So he predicted what Darren would do if he was threatened, because once you're a member of the Corporate Federation, those kind of threats go away, because the Corporate Federation doesn't allow fighting between corporations. That's their big deal. No fighting between corporations.
Can't do it. Yeah.
Right. So he knew that Darren would take the bait and find allies and join. So yeah, he didn't lose. He won his actual goal. So at the end of the day, it's Elliot Humboldt who wins, right?
Yeah,
that's just a horrible feeling.
I'm excited to read the rest of the series, mainly just because of that one interaction where he's just like, yeah, okay, I'll leave. And like he just kind of hops back on the ship and he
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
goes.
But you notice the Marines didn't like it.
Yeah, no, the Marines were not happy to be used as target practice.
No. And the individual responsible for sabotaging his recycler.
Yeah.
Remember how when he gets back and he's talking to his buddy, he's reeking and just stench, and he's the individual who's responsible for that
Mm-hmm.
is a point of view character in the next book, and we start off with his court martial.
Oh, nice.
So John wants to know what kind of whiskey I'm drinking. Why don't you tell them why I'm drinking a whiskey?
Oh, well, the whole whiskey idea. I needed something to draw Elliot's attention because he's very self-focused and he's got this goal in mind. So I needed something for him to take him out and introduce him to a different mystery. So part of the idea was he wanted to reward himself, and he remembered this really good whiskey that August Monarch had served way back at his 50th birthday or whatever. And so he looked for a bottle and found that there was one bottle left in existence, and this other guy named Malcolm DeRike has that whiskey. And pursuing that whiskey is how he gets introduced to some of these other mysteries about August Monarch and who the hell is he. And that's an unsolved mystery in book 1. So, and I don't want to spoil books 2, 3, and 4, but yeah, that's going to lead somewhere important.
I'm just still upset that he paid so much for the whiskey and it wasn't good.
And it was horrible. Yeah.
And then he gets chewed out by his wife from across the galaxy.
I love that when he transferred the balance and then the thing warned him that his balance was low.
Yeah.
Which brought in the card game.
Dennis, talk to me a little. Can I jump in here, Andrew? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hey, talk to me. I love this as a theme, and it's like I thought played so well for me. Is you've got this last little bubble on the moon, right? That is like stayed out of the corporation's crosshairs up to now.
Mm-hmm.
And as we get more and more into it, the Utopia moniker, or as you called it, maybe the what type of society, the
post scarcity
society, like it still has the problem that we're still there.
Yeah.
It still has the problem that we're still the society. Like there is a serial killer in the works. It's kind of messing things up. We do have ideas of popularity should rule the day, to where maybe this person that's not really should be in charge of taking on these problems gets thrown in charge. We start to find out these bubbles are actually like separated one from the other depending on belief systems. So we still have those schisms and those lines between ourselves, even though it's like an idea of a utopia society. So we can't outrun ourselves, even thousands of years, even though this is the last kind of free place on Luna. And I just found that so interesting. It was all that purpose for you thematically, or just as you started to discover and you're a pantser, it just worked out that way?
I like showing different kinds of people doing different kinds of things. I like showing people who are adamant about one thing and maybe they're wrong, but they're adamant about it. Throwing in the conflict between the two little cities that are the refugees, and they stayed together, and that was again showing a mistake that they had made. Instead of incorporating them into the wider population, they let them cluster. And well, the first one they put there, but then the second one that happened years later, they put them right next to the first one because they were just copying what was already done, taking the easy way out.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to show kind of a religious theme too. I wanted to get religion involved, but I didn't want to insult anybody of a real religion. So I invented the Mormon Catholics and the Neo-Shinto fundamentalists.
Yeah.
And I even brought in the Mormon Catholic Pope, Pope Madeline II.
Yeah. Which totally works if you look at it 1,000 years. You know, like things
Right.
have changed and morphed. Yeah.
I've even got a backstory with how the two, the Mormons and the Roman Catholics merged. I've got a story behind that too. It's a guy named Dudley Bonk did it. I might write that one down someday.
So,
But
yeah.
just when you have societies that think of them as the other, it's easy to vilify the other, and I wanted to show a little taste of that. And then, of course, you've got the serial killer who sees the little spat, and just as it's dying down, starts fanning the flames and getting them to blame each other for everything that happens.
Yeah. And it just brings up it. I just love the dramatic device of we can't outrun ourselves. We can't outrun our shortcomings. There is psychosis. There is, I mean, there's all, you know, there's all kinds of things that are baked into the cake of us. As you said, that dividing line between us and them and belief systems. And I just really appreciated that all those things were still there, adding to the drama of it, even in this utopian society. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, it just occurred to me. So we're talking about the serial killer. And from the very first page, we are introduced to a boy and his mother. And it cycles all the way back around. Was that intentional? Was that planned, or was that pantsed? Where basically we end up in this garden or this theme park where at the beginning of the book, this boy is being scolded by his mother and has his AI or his augmented reality, his VR, virtual reality privileges revoked. And then, like, we see him, he hasn't changed. He's still acting up.
Yeah,
and his
for
mother
sure.
has yanked the privileges again, and that saves his life.
Yeah, it was, that's part of my process. It came to me that, I could bring them back in. When I wrote them in the first place, I never thought they were going to be part of the ending, you know, but it fit so well. I took it. And when I write, I don't write all and then I'm done. I'll write it and then I'll go back and write some more and go back and forth. So it's a lot of rewriting and adjusting as I do this to make all the pieces fit together. I know some authors are probably, you know, throwing their hands up saying, no, that's not how you do it. But, you know, it works really well for me.
Hey, whatever works for you.
Yeah, however, everybody's going to be completely different.
I mean, John writes his book Discovery with his family. And from what I heard, they lay out a piece of paper on the coffee table and just start writing down ideas.
That's where that's day one. Yeah.
Like, I've never heard any other author say, yeah, we have a meeting around the dinner table and we get the biggest piece of paper we can find to just start bubbling ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no one linear way. There's no one way to do it.
I'm looking forward to the next book in that series, John. I want to see what kind of chaos happens.
There will be some, and we rolled out the big butcher paper already, and there's a lot of it.
So one other thing that I want to talk about before we move on is I mentioned this park, and basically this killer sets up as like he's like, I found my ideal hunting ground because these people are just sheep.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, there's literally people getting their fingers cut off and they're just like, ow. And then like, he's just like, it's perfect. They won't take off the goggles.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't, it never occurs to them what the augmented reality can take away as well as add. And it never occurs to them that that's happening.
I want to know if that's like commentary that you have on, like, you know, I've got my phone sitting right next to me. I struggle to put this down all day.
Yes.
Yeah.
All day. Someone asked me today, oh my gosh, how do you unplug and get so much reading done? Can you give us tips? And it's like, I'm not the guy you want to do that.
There's a new thing out there that I'm thinking about getting. It's called, this is not sponsored. It's like a little brick. and you're supposed to be able to tap your phone on it, and basically it blocks all the social media. You cannot get into it.
That's cool.
Until you retap it.
Yeah.
But I mean that's got that didn't come on. We can all be all curmudgeons here. That's got to be some commentary, right? Like
a little, yeah. I mean, nothing's perfect, and people do things that, you know, there are warnings on batteries in cars to not drink the contents of the battery. Now, why do you think they had to put that on there? Because somebody drank it.
Yep.
That's human nature.
I find it a little funny. I was like, I mean, maybe we shouldn't have the warnings. If you're gonna open up a battery and drink it,
there's something to be said for that.
Yeah,
but I'm not saying that we don't need these people. I'm just saying,
yeah. But people,
you can extrapolate.
Yeah,
I'm not going to.
Yeah. But I think that's, I mean, to me, I find that very interesting because it's such a double-edged sword, right? I mean, here we all are. Like, I would never have met you two gentlemen. And Dennis, I spent the convention with you, and you and your lovely wife took care of me, and it was so lovely to sit with you. I mean, Andrew, yeah, I talk to you daily. I mean, I consider you one of my friends that I talk to daily. I wouldn't know either one of you without the internet. But at the same time, it takes us away from the world. This pull that we have, yeah, exactly, Janny. This pull that we have takes us away from sometimes what's tangible and real and out there. And I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, John, I got to tell you though, you did a video a while back where you talked about, briefly that you'd spent time with me and my lovely wife. And that's the only mention of her that you made was lovely wife. So I told May, I says, hey, John talked about you in his video.
Yeah.
So I showed her the video and it got to lovely wife. And I said, see? And she's like, is that it?
Well, okay. You tell, and even now I have a hard time. Sometimes people don't like their name getting out there. And some people are very private. And if I don't have permission to say someone's name of I spent time with so-and-so or any of these people, I try and keep it as, they should be able to have their
that mistake, and I got corrected live by Bookborn.
Well, yeah. Her name is May, and it's okay to say her name.
Okay. Well, May is the most lovely human being ever, and she just was amazingly supportive, and I loved sitting with her. And you, I was just blown away how much you guys took care of me over that weekend, and I was just enormously thankful.
Well, I went into it with like my main goal really was getting you talking with John Hartness.
Well, you should have gone into it with goals for yourself. It was such a great time. You should have been there, Andrew.
You know what? I have never been to North Carolina. I would love to.
Dude, anytime.
I would love to. I would love to just get Jacob in a headlock and noogie him. Just
Dude,
a little bit.
David Brin.
If that were ever happen, we have to film it. That's for sure.
You can tell him I said that.
David Brin is coming to RavenCon next year for the science fiction anniversary. I think it's like the 150 or 200 year something, whatever, anniversary of science fiction, and David Brin is going to be there, and I expect to be a guest as well.
Maybe you'll get to sit on a panel next to David Brin.
The first convention I was ever invited to in this modern run of mine, I got to sit on a panel next to Larry Niven.
I just got
Ringworld.
You obviously watch my shorts.
I do.
I've been looking for this for a while. I can always find the sequels. I had never found Ringworld, and I just found it. Very happy. I'm excited because I grew up playing Halo, which is a video game that takes place on a Ringworld.
Yep.
Video game? Is that one of them computer type games?
Yeah,
that's one of them computer games.
Hey, okay, Dennis, let me get back to Final Assembly for a second.
Mhm.
I'm going to be starting before the end of the year. I will definitely be starting book 2 and getting back into the series. So if Deborah is on the cover of 3 and 4, what do I have to look forward to in book 2?
In book 2, you meet 2 new viewpoint characters. Jake, who is the weapons officer on the Pang Yu.
Okay.
You get to meet him, and you get to meet Ted Becker, who is the Marine who starts off the story getting court-martialed.
Okay, perfect.
And you get to go through that whole thing and learn more about what Mercor is like. The 2 different branches, you've got the Navy and the Marines, but they're not really military. They're like corporate security.
Mm.
There's a dichotomy there that's just kind of, it's not quite. So some interesting things happen that way, and there's some fights, and the final body count is much, much higher.
Okay.
Just going to say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell Andrew, did you know this? Because he told me this at the convention, that books 1 and 2 initially were one book that he had to split.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Fill
I
in
didn't know
Andrew
that.
on this and everybody else.
Yeah, the first manuscript, once I got it up over 100,000 words and I got something that looked to me complete, I got myself a real editor. Persephone, if you're out there, hi. And she looked at it and she read through it, and she pointed out that at about the 60-40 mark, where everybody were at the funeral and everything was wrapping up, and then they went to the space station. And it was a whole different set of problems. That was actually the beginning of a second book. So, I took an axe to it and I split the book. And that's
Good
why
for you.
Jake, his point of view from the first book got eliminated. In fact, that whole Battle of Luna got rewritten to be a different perspective. Now, I'm not the kind to actually throw things away, so that the original, from their point of view, is actually the opening chapter in book 2. So
During
you
the
get to
court
go
martial.
back and revisit the Battle of Luna, but from their point of view.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I see. I'm happy to hear that, because I felt it. Well, one of the things in book 1 is like, I thought we would have a bigger oomph from the Pang Lu, like coming in the whole time,
Same.
like we spend so much. And I love as Andrew was pointing out, how much of this is your time on a submarine. Like, I love the kind of the real feel of what ship life would be. I thought it was so cool in those characters, but I thought they would like have a bigger moment in the spotlight when they got there. So yeah. I was really interested to hear, it was one book at one time, and book 2 is kind of, we get to get that.
Yeah, I will say this: the Pang Yu is my hero ship, and you will see more and more of it, especially when you get to both Broken Trust, but then in Stolen Dreams. Stolen Dreams is the war story. This is the big final battle where everybody's fighting about everything, and
all about those decisions that Dawn made.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm telling you, it's a problem, Andrew.
There's a lot that goes on. Another thing is that I introduce you first. You've seen Kigyo, the corporate headquarters, but now you've got Dawn moving in with her people and getting used to the place. And so there's more exploration of that. You've got the Marines who, they're stationed there. So they take you underneath to the bars and the bar district and that kind of thing. And then there is Endurance Halo, which is another habitat, which is very different. It's an independent. It is more like lower class, or poor people, more crowding, more, it's a different vibe, a different feel. So you get to explore that as well.
Yeah, the one thing about Luna is it's pretty ritzy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's a utopia, essentially. Yeah. You get one share, and you can pretty much like live on it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Except
and
for,
well, you can live well.
One of the things, I don't know if you can see it up here, but this is the Thomas Covenant books up here.
Okay.
You guys read that?
No.
I haven't.
You haven't? Oh
No.
my God. In the first trilogy, you get to see the land and you fall in love with it. It's beautiful and lush and absolutely wonderful. It's a spectacular place to visit. The first book of the second trilogy is The Wounded Land. And I have never before or since gotten emotional about descriptions of scenery,
Mm.
because here was this lush world that you were in love with, and then here the wounded land is literally destroyed and desolate. And oh my God. So I'm not saying that's in Luna's future, but I'm tempted to go there at some point in my writing.
You be nice. Those prawn rings must be preserved.
The prawn rings. Oh my God. Those are real. You know that, right?
Well, I
How?
assumed so, but I've
I
never
I
had one.
am married to a Thai woman, okay?
I'm
When
married to a Chinese woman.
when I went to pick her up from Thailand and bring her back, we stayed at this little hotel, and right next to it was a restaurant called the Two Sit. And at the Two Sit, we were eating things, and she ordered some food, and there were these big rings. They looked like big fat onion rings. Okay. And I tried one and it tasted delicious, but I couldn't quite figure out what it was. It was so big. So I asked her what it was. And she says, "Oh, you can have more. It's sheep." I'm like, "Sheep? I've never had sheep." So, it took me a while to figure out, no, what she meant was it's cheap. You can have as many
Well,
as you want. They were made of prawn. So that's where the prawn rings come from. It's a thing from my life.
Fair enough.
I
The-
did love the restaurant. Like that.
If she's got a recipe, just post it to your website or something, or
Yeah.
DM it to me. I can get my mother-in-law or my wife to make it,
Yeah,
or I can
have
try
no
and
idea.
make it and probably light the kitchen on fire. I'm more of a baker. I don't cook. I can grill and I can bake. That's
I'm
it.
good.
That's funny
I'm good
because
with
Keegan's last
grilling
name
and
was
baking.
Baker.
Whose last name is?
Keegan, the guy who did the restaurant, his last name was
Oh, yeah.
Baker.
I'm good at following instructions. Baking has very strict instructions.
That's a that's another thing I wanted to throw out there. Keegan is a name that I grabbed and used, but you'd find out later that his real name was Glenn Baker,
Mhm.
and Edo Baker, the other uncle. They're based on my family. My great uncle Al, who nobody can tell me why they called him Al. His real name was Glenn Baker. He was a banker in Cuba. When Castro took over, he fled and he
Wow.
brought with him this younger man. And when they got to America, in order to get him legal to stay, my uncle Al adopted him. This is
Wow.
My
the
grandfather's name is Al, so
this is the 50s. That's how they did it back then. And they
Yeah.
lived together for the rest of their lives together.
Yeah.
I didn't know until I was probably in my 20s that no, Uncle Al was gay, and Edo was basically his husband. And,
But that's what they had to do. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Now, I never got to meet Edo because Uncle Al never brought him home to the family because the family didn't want the kids to know. And
Oh my gosh.
the way it was. So that was just kind of my way of honoring my family.
that's wonderful.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
It's a wonderful story.
The other thing I love about the restaurant and is even in this time where post scarcity and you can get pretty much anything, like handcrafted food or handcrafted things are all of a sudden very much sought after because of the love and the soul and the care that goes into crafting and creating them. And I thought that was just a lovely little thing thrown in there that happened at the restaurant over and over again, because as we can't outrun ourselves to have a true utopia, who we truly are is magical as well when you really stop to think about these things that we can make and create and pass and share.
Right.
So I just thought, what a lovely dichotomy of who we are that you just had, just subtly slid in there in the restaurant.
Yeah, Keegan doesn't need the money. He's not doing it for an income. He's doing it because he loves to cook, and he loves the atmosphere of people coming and talking and enjoying themselves and enjoying his food. And when somebody comes in later on and asks for ribs, which isn't on his menu, he knows just where to go to get them and brings them ribs from next door, because it's not about the competition. It's about people being happy and together. And I kind of like food, so
I think we all do.
Yeah.
While we're on this tack of like great themes, one thing that occurs to me is you have this aged movie star, and the name is escaping me. And
Ellie Lester.
Ellie Lester. She's wise, she's kind, she's humble, and she's still very beloved by the current generation, who she thinks her time has passed. And then I believe she finds love within the story, or at least she finds a hookup.
No. That would be reading too much into it. It's more of they find friendship.
Okay.
She's beyond romantic type stuff at this point in her life.
Fair enough.
But Ellie Lester, I created that character thinking I was going to do something along the lines of Nichelle Nichols. Okay, I thought I wanted to honor Nichelle Nichols because this is an actress that I grew up with in science fiction. But the more I wrote the dialogue, the more the voice ringing in my head, and now I'm going to space the name, Wanda Sykes.
Oh, I love Wanda Sykes.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Or I'm like, that's Wanda Sykes. And her relationship with Darren is just so much fun because there's something going on that you don't find out until much later.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to take down the spoiler banner because we are approaching an hour.
Because we've been here long enough.
Yeah, well,
if you're still here, you're not afraid of spoilers. That's what.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you've had fair warning.
Yeah.
One of the things that I kind of want to hear from you is, what has your publishing journey been like? What has
absolutely.
How has that experience been, from getting your cover art to, did you try indie? Did you go straight to boutique? Did you try query? What has all of that been like for you?
My first attempt was Baen Books.
I love Baen Books.
Part of that is because I've been reading Baen books.
Great for Baen.
This would be great for
Baen.
I've
been reading a lot of Baen books. My mother had tried to go there as well, and I think I was trying to show her, see, Mom, I did it, and you didn't. There was a little bit of that in there, but she's passed away since then.
So you come from a family of writers?
I come from a family of creators.
Okay.
I have artists. My grandmother was an artist. My uncle's an artist. And my mother was a writer. She wrote science fiction stories as well. Never got published. Anyway, I tried Baen first, and Baen took a long time, but finally came back and said that they weren't interested in this one. And by that point, I was running out of patience because that took a long time. Mm-hmm. And I spoke with an acquaintance of mine. Do you know Charles Gannon? Mm-hmm. He writes a lot of science fiction for Baen. And he pointed me towards Chris Kennedy Publications. Now, Chris Kennedy does a lot more military sci-fi. And I spoke with Chris. I made my pitch, and he told me to send him the manuscript. And he sent back the manuscript, and he says, I like it. I want 3 books, at least 3 books. And so the second book was already done. So I finished up the third book, Broken Trust. and I sent him the 3 manuscripts, and he sent me a contract. And then I asked him, how long do I have, or what's my deadline to get the 4th book to you to finish off this story in the same publishing schedule? Because he was going to rapid release them, one every 6 weeks. Boom,
Oh,
boom, boom.
wow, that's fast.
That
Yeah.
is fast. Yeah.
So that's why he wanted 3 manuscripts up front.
Usually they like to let him breathe for at least, like even with Dungeon Crawler Carl, they've given him 3 months between releases.
Yeah, I wasn't in control of that, but he gave me a deadline. And because from the very beginning, I've been tracking my word counts, how much I do, when I do it, that kind of thing, I was able to look at the deadline, get a round number, around 100,000 words is what I usually aim for, and figure out, can I get this book done in that time? And the answer was, oh, I sure can, because I could see my rates, and I only had to pick it up like 1 notch, and I was golden. And so I sat down, and because I've been working on the first 3 books, I knew what the last book was. I knew all the players and where everything was going to happen, and the major battles and the beats I wanted to hit. I sat down and I cranked that one out, and it was a lot of fun to write. Not everybody survives. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Oh, shucks.
I bet not.
But it does end on a hopeful note, and I'm really proud of it. So,
well, you mentioned that your mother's works never got published. Would you consider indie publishing them? Do you have them?
Her fiction works never got published. She published some like a family genealogy and stories of Wright County, Minnesota. But as we speak, I had a conversation with Gray Reinhardt, who is the slush master general over at Bain and also a friend. And I asked him about my mother's novel, and we went back and forth on it. And basically, it was decided that I could submit that, and they would take another look at it. So my mother's book, Witch Fingers, it's called, is on submission right now at Bain. And
that's so cool.
That's awesome. That's just such a beautiful tribute.
That is amazing, dude.
I hope you get good news for that.
Yeah, that would be so amazing to come full circle like that.
Yeah, it would be cool. We'll see. But right now, I've got 3 more novels in the pipeline. I'm almost done with the 3rd. I've got a discount deal with J. Caleb Designs to give me $300 off 3 covers, and all I need is editing and ISBNs and a few other things to get them ready to publish. And I'll need to get funding for that, though.
Are you planning to kickstart?
Indiegogo.
Okay.
Indiegogo, because you get all the money that's donated, and I'll just get as far as I can get. Also, Kickstarter seems more geared towards already having the cover, and paying for the cover is part of what I got to do with the fundraising.
Yeah. So for these next ones, you're going more of a self-published indie model as opposed to the boutique that you're with, the Chris Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm definitely going self-publishing with these now, just because I need to get there. I've always known I needed to get there. And now I think because of my experiences, the people that I know, John Hartness for one, Stuart Jaffe, Patrick Dugan, and all of these other people that I know now.
J.A.J. Minton.
Yeah,
J.A.J. Minton, who I will be hitting you up for audiobook tips.
Yeah, I mean, that's that, and a couple bucks will get you a cup of coffee.
Okay. Tori Tekken's a great resource.
Tori Tekken's a great resource. Yeah.
Tori.
She's
been indie publishing, I think, now for around 20 years.
I still have people to meet. Absolutely.
100% reach out to Tori.
Yeah. She helped us. I mean, she's amazing.
All right.
Tori's fantastic. She's one of my best friends as well.
Is Tori in the chat by any chance?
Tori is
having a stream of her own
silence discussion.
See, I'm just absolutely thrilled that you guys managed to get Jenny Wirtz in here. Jenny Wirtz.
Hi.
Hi, Jenny. I'm Dennis.
She's one of the best.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
I first met Jenny with her Cycle of Fire series.
Mm-hmm.
And now John's doing the whole Wars of Light and Shadow read along, and Jenny's just finding a ton of success here on BookTube.
Yeah.
So
there are so many. Reach out, man. There are so many people that'll help in so many different ways, Dennis. Like I'll help you however I can. I mean, I don't know how much knowledge I have, but whatever I have is at your disposal, sir.
Oh, Jenny is also a champion of just all things.
Oh,
SFF.
You could mention Book People, one word, all caps, is a discount code at my T-shirt shop. Gets you $2 off everything in the store.
I think you just did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they're super cool.
Oh, is that one of the shirts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I need to get. This is the shirt I'm wearing. Forget lab safety. I want superpowers.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
I do like that.
I need to get.
That's awesome.
I need to get some Automated Empire merch.
There is Automated Empire merch there. It's under Novel Tie-ins. There's coffee cups and other things, and T-shirts.
I do drink coffee.
Yeah.
You know what? You should also do whiskey glasses. I'm just saying.
There you go.
Humboldt Industries or whatever the name of that company is.
Yeah, what was the name of the brandy? You should actually do bourbon. You should do bourbon.
I think it was like Dogson or something like that. It's an actual location that I found, a little spot, and I used that name.
Yeah, you should totally make whiskey glasses for. You can probably just order it. I know. I mentioned before we went live that Whiskey Tube is a whole thing, and there are YouTubers who their merch is a whiskey glass. So people do it.
We're in the wrong corner of YouTube, Andrew.
Listen, I mean,
you know,
I'm already 4 years into this. I feel like if I try and branch off into whiskey, the algorithm's not going to like it.
I think Andrew's Wizardly Reads might get a rename and become Andrew's Bourbon and Books.
Yes, we should go into something just like two doofuses in a bottle. Like,
sure, I'd do it. I would do it, John. Don't tempt me.
Two doofuses in a bottle. Don't tempt me with a good time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding? I'm here for that. I would do that instantly. John says Andrew's Wizardly Whiskey.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's funny when I first started my channel. We're completely off the rails now.
Yeah, we are.
But I remember I hopped in. I just made my YouTube channel. Like I think I'd posted 3 videos. Alan was live, and he saw my comment, and he's like, "I can never see your name without thinking of the Wizards of Waverly Place."
That is not the tie-in you wanted.
Okay.
And that was I was like, well, thanks. I've been acknowledged.
Gotta love Alan.
Alan's amazing.
He is. He's the best.
But is there anything before we go? Because I don't want to keep you guys. I know your time is valuable. It's Friday night. There's things to do. It's the solstice, apparently.
It is.
Apparently, yeah.
Is there anything you want to say, Dennis, about your series and your books that we didn't touch on?
I not until I can do spoilers for the other 3 books with you guys.
Sure. I mean, John said he'd read book 2 before the end of the year. I will prompt you, John, to let me know when you're reading it so I can join you.
As soon as I start.
A buddy read?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
You want to do it together?
Sure.
I am doing it. I'm doing book 2 before the end of the year. So whenever I do it, like I'll hit you up. We'll do it together.
Instantly. I'm there.
Okay.
Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you want to check out Dennis's books, these ones are right here. Gorgeous books. I do have them linked in the description box down below. So you can just click the link, go buy the book, and support an amazing author. John, thank you for joining us. I will make sure to link your channel in the description as well if I haven't already.
It's such
Please
my pleasure.
John.
Such my pleasure. If you want some sci-fi that leaves no stone unturned when it comes to world building as far as bureaucracy, government, interesting themes. This was just rife with so much cool stuff, and a serial killer.
Yeah, and a serial killer.
And a serial killer.
I feel like I missed an opportunity by not also having a kitchen sink.
Oh, you've got to get that in. Yeah. I mean, it felt like it was there. There was so much in there that it was.
Are you sure there's not a kitchen sink in here at some point?
Oh,
I messed with the plumbing on the ship.
I bet we could find one. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a kitchen sink mentioned in here somewhere. But it's such a delightful read. I really, really enjoyed these characters. I enjoyed the themes. I enjoyed everything about I dedicated a whole month to just reading this eyes only. I didn't read another book the entire month physically. I just read this. And that's not because it was slow. It's because I wanted to savor it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was so happy to be here tonight, not only because Dennis and May are fabulous, amazing people, but it's just a cool book. It's just a fun book. And I mean, it's such a lovely way to spend Friday evening with both you gentlemen and talk about a really cool book that kicks off, I think, a series that's only going to get more amazing. I can't wait to get back to it.
And more expansive, because apparently Dennis has another 20 books.
I'm going to be doing this for as long as I can. I enjoy it too much. I have so much to explore. One of the themes that I'm going to be exploring is, what does it mean to be a human being?
Yes.
Where's the line?
Going deep.
Love it. I love that. And I think you already are, just with this very first book. I see those seeds being laid already, as far as we can't outrun ourselves. And at the same time, the dichotomy of how magical we are. So it's so much great stuff there.
Thank you. I really
a lot of great stuff. But
you have no idea how much I appreciate it.
No, we
appreciate you.
You are greatly appreciated, Dennis. I really want this book to catch on with viewers of my channel, which is general people on BookTube. Let's get more Automated Empire, because, like I said at the beginning of this video, there is not a lot of sci-fi out there that can do it like the Golden Age masters. And I think you are, if not brushing right up against it, right up in there with them.
One thing I wanted to throw out there too, at the end of Final Assembly, there's a tag scene. Takes place on another world with two alien boys. One of the books that I'm working on now, of the three, the first one I want to publish is called Secret of the Ombax. 10 years later, it's their coming of age story, and they are both viewpoint characters in that book.
Nice. So we're getting aliens.
I wondered where that was going.
World, that a very different culture, different society.
I'm excited to read it.
Different problems.
Well, before we turn this into a Midwest goodbye, I just want to thank everybody for, if you're watching this on repeat, again, books in the description box down below. Thank you for watching. And make sure to check out Talking Story for great bookish content. He does wonderful content with his son, Jacob. And Dennis writes amazing books. And just thank you for spending your time with us. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time.
And the wizard is magical.
Yeah, peace out. Stay magical. Bye.